Day 161. Hopefully this works. This is attempt number, I don't know, 7 to make this video. Okay, so two goals for today. One, that you're able to combine colors to remove unwanted colors, and that you can solve color subtraction problems with algebra. So I want you to think for the warm-up how you can combine two filters, one that's magenta, one that's yellow, to create red light. And you can use the sim from yesterday to do this. So there's a link for that. Go ahead and pause. And welcome back. And let's see how to do this. So wait for this to reload. There it is. And I've got the two filters, dark yellow, dark magenta, and you can see that they turn the light red. Let's just take one of these away. See what we get. We get yellow that way. If we put the dark magenta back, we get magenta, which is red and blue. And yellow, if you remember, just in case you forgot, yellow is, there you go, red and green. So when we throw that magenta, hey man, get back in there. Throw that in there, we get rid of the blue. We're left with the thing that these two have in common, which is red. Sometimes it's easier to see this with just the lasers here, and you can see the magenta filters out green. You can see that the yellow filters out blue because it doesn't continue, and all we're left with is red. If you had some magenta, if you had some red sunglasses, this is kind of cool. Everything that includes red would show up. Everything that has red in it would show up. Everything that doesn't have red in it would show up as black, right? Like this green, black. And the blue is just varying shades of black. We get gray. The yellow shows up as not black because yellow is a combination, right, of red and what else? You probably forgot. Maybe I forgot. Who knows? Boop. Red and green. So the green part gets filtered out, but the red part shows up, and that's why you see, oh, look at this, different color. Yellow stays, and look what gets filtered out. Blue gets filtered out. All right, leaving you with green. Very cool. Okay, so that was the first part of day 161. And here's just some reading about color subtraction. So how it is that we mix together. If you've ever been curious about why it is that when you change the ink in your printer, that you have to use cyan, magenta, and yellow, right? Two colors that you probably don't think about very often, and then yellow, which you do. Why it isn't red, green, and blue, but it's cyan, magenta, and yellow? Well, this will explain why. All right, that's a whole concept of color subtraction. And basically, it works like this. If you have something that absorbs a color, well, what gets reflected is everything that doesn't get absorbed. So here we've got three colors incident to this material, and we have two colors reflected. So red, green, and blue. Blue gets absorbed. Red and green get reflected. You should know that red and green are yellow. That's what makes yellow. And so we say this absorbs blue but appears yellow. If I wanted to do this with algebra, it would look like this. I've got white coming in, blue being absorbed. What is white? It's red, green, and blue. If you subtract blue from this, well, just think of algebra. Like if I had x minus x, it'd be 0 because the x's would cancel each other out, essentially. And so here I'd have red plus green is the answer. And there we go. And red plus green is yellow. So this is just a rule you have to remember. Here's another simpler example. We've got green and blue incident and green reflected, blue being absorbed. And so what is green and blue? Well, it's cyan. That's what this would be, a kind of light blue color. Subtract from that blue, and you have just green remaining. So we got some practice problems here for you to try. And then here, I've got some more practice. All right, say we wanted to make this bird appear this way. How would we do that? If we wanted the green tail feathers, we would use cyan and yellow because those two colors will absorb everything except green. And what would you do here is similar steps. All right, so there's some practice for this here. There's a link to the activity, and that looks like, where is it? There we go. Looks like this. It's the football player, and you have to make his clothes be certain colors. And so the idea here is you got to take this to another level, not just combining two colors, but percentages of colors. So I'm supposed to make his helmet olive drab green. That's a green that's darker than this, kind of a dull green. Think of camouflage, that kind of green. And so what makes green? Well, when you think about the rules, right? How is it that I filter out green? You can go back here if you don't remember, and we can go to our lasers. And if I want something to be green, well, so I can do, what does cyan give me? Okay, so dark yellow and dark cyan gives me green. I don't want this shade of green, but I want some shade of greens. But this is a start. So let's start with some cyan and some yellow. Oh, okay. So we have to go advanced. We need percentages. Okay, so that's kind of like a... All right. Let's try some more. This is too bright for olive. Let's maybe add in more yellow. Ooh, okay. That's too dark. But there, that's an olive. Those are nice. Okay, so that's a good olive drab green. Well, that's the best one right there. There we go. So 100% cyan, 50% magenta, 100% yellow. The cyan and the yellow gives you green, but it's too bright. So to dull it, we add in some magenta, and that filters out some of the green, but not all of it, giving it this darker characteristic. So this is what you got to do, and then write down the percentages in the document, which I don't have pulled up anymore. Oh, I do. So this is what's on Schoology, and you just fill it in with the percentages. I believe I did the first one here for you. And that's it in a nutshell. Okay. So I did a few of these for you. I'm trying to scroll right now, and it won't scroll. This Chromebook is funky. There we go. So, okay, I found a few different ways to get an olive helmet. Right, what we just did was 100% cyan, 50% magenta, and 100% yellow. What I put on here was different, but they both worked. So whatever works is fine. Okay? All right, that's it. Enjoy. Any questions, let me know, and have a great weekend.